What's up everyone, it's Andres Restart, and this time we're going to be talking about Super Mario Switch. So, recently Emily Rogers has output another rumor. However, her sources seem to be quite credible. I mean, she pretty much leaked the entire Nintendo Switch before it was called the Nintendo Switch. So, we should definitely take this information and consider it at least somewhat credible for sure. So she's saying that Super Mario Switch is a lot further in development than a lot of us expected. She wouldn't be surprised to see it at launch instead of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, I don't agree with her. Now, I'm not disputing her sources. I actually am pretty confident her sources are right. But her sources aren't telling her that Legend of Zelda won't be coming for launch. They're simply telling her that the game is near the end of development. That's simply her interpretation that it may be coming for launch instead of Zelda. What I'm thinking is that we're definitely getting Zelda for launch. If that didn't happen, we would be looking at a hellstorm. But there's another possibility here. Perhaps both Super Mario Switch and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild will both be coming at launch for the Nintendo Switch. And if so, this could be huge. We could be looking at probably the most stacked and strong and best lineup for a system, a console launch ever. And that could be really cool. Now, because both Mario and Zelda kind of have a similar audience, I'm not entirely sure that will actually happen. But it looks like both games are pretty much close to ready to coming out. And that's very, very cool. Now, Super Mario Switch seems to be the kind of game that will help to sell the system. And I'm going to go over a few reasons why. So, if we look at 3D World, it's a game that came out for Wii U, and the Wii U failed. And while I enjoyed 3D World, it wasn't the game that I really wanted. When the late Iwata said that a Super Mario 3D game was in the works, I was really excited. I was expecting something epic and amazing. And when 3D World came out and I saw Mario in a cat suit, I was disappointed. Now, the game's still really good, it's very fun, but there's no denying the fact that the game basically looks like an HD version of 3D Land. It also has kind of like this cookie cutter feel to it, and it's straying further away from the 64 style of gameplay than even Galaxy. So let me go over the timeline in terms of like 3D Mario games in terms of like their gameplay mechanics. So when Super Mario 64 came out, it came out at launch for Nintendo 64 and it really helped to sell the system. It pioneered 3D gaming. It was the first game that you could really have like a fully explorable 3D world and a camera that followed you that you can also maneuver and see different angles. This game was extremely innovative. It's a very charming title and it's still fun to this day. It's timeless, really. Super Mario Sunshine continued on the same vein of having these open worlds to explore, but it also had these villages that were very interesting, had a lot of exoticism to it, and they're very cool to explore and get to know the NPCs. Now when we got to the Galaxy games, the games were they focused kind of more on a streamlined platforming experience, and they executed it very well. Yet even though there wasn't as much of an open world to explore and the camera was more limiting and there weren't as many like little towns and villages to explore and such, the game still managed to engage the user, and it still had that grandiose sense of openness. I mean, we were in space. But now we go on to 3D World. Basically all the levels are platforms or little islands floating in the sky. The camera's pulled away even further. It's kind of like they did that to allow for multiplayer, but it's not as immersive and engaging. And the camera is even more limiting than it was in Galaxy, which was even more limiting than it was in Sunshine. So they've sort of been moving away from this 3D open explorable experience for the sake of having a streamlined platforming experience. But what if they could accomplish both at the same time? With the Wii, the hardware was limiting. With the Wii U, the way the situation was, I figured they were just trying to get a 3D Mario game out there as soon as possible, and creating an HD version of 3D Land was probably their best route, because the Wii U was was doing really poorly, and they were doing everything they can to get software up for the system as fast as possible. But as a result of trying to pump out software as fast as possible for the Wii U, we didn't really get any really compelling software that helped to sell the system. We didn't get anything like the Galaxy games. We didn't get anything like Metroid Prime. We didn't get anything like Breath of the Wild. It still hasn't come out for the system. It's going to come out, after the system has already... They've announced that the production is ending this week, and the system's coming out... The game's coming out in March, probably. So, yeah, the Wii U didn't have anything that helped to sell a system. But now, looking at Super Mario Switch, it's looking like it's going to be the kind of game that will help to sell a system. After all, Miyamoto at E3 said they're going to challenge the conventions the way they're challenging the conventions for Breath of the Wild. And when you look at Breath of the Wild, this game is going to sell the system. It was the most hyped game at E3 by a long shot. It got Game of the Show pretty much by everyone. And in terms of like social media numbers, that game was buzzing than any other title. And in my opinion, it definitely is deserving of it by a long shot. It's an extremely exciting game, and it's gonna sell systems. And I think Nintendo realized one of the problems they had with the Wii U is that they weren't able to create compelling software to sell the system. So they're really trying to create those AAA killer app titles this time around, Zelda being one of them, and perhaps Super Mario Switch being another. And it both be coming out at launch. It'll be really exciting. But let's actually look at the footage for Super Mario Switch and see where we can actually gauge what sort of gameplay we're going to be getting from this game. And from the looks of it, I'm just going to straight out say it, it's looking to me like it's going to be more closer to 64 than it was to 3D World. But more realistically, it's probably going to make a combination of the two, or the Galaxy games. It's going to employ different mechanics, but it's definitely looking to have like that openness, that explorability, that camera that you actually can control, and you can actually control and see different angles and explore more. So when we look at the footage, one of the first things I noted was the camera's a lot closer. It's directly behind Mario. It's a lot more like 64 and Sunshine and even Galaxy as opposed to 3D Land and 3D World. And that in and of itself tells us that we're going to have a camera that we can sort of control more. It's going to be more immersive and engaging, and it's going to be closer. It's going to be more about exploring, seeing this open world rather than just kind of moving forward. So that's really cool. But not only that, if you take note of the world around him, there's actually, something in Mario's peripherals. You can actually see an expansive world here. And that's really cool, because again, that implies a world you can go around, run around, and explore. And let's face it, having an open world is really exciting for core gamers. Gamers love the open world experience. That's something that sells systems. That's something that people really want. And I think Nintendo understands that. So we have this camera that's right behind Mario. We have this more expansive looking world. But not only that, Mario has this triple jump back. This was a mechanic that was not in 3D Land or 3D World, and to be honest, one of the worst things about those games in my opinion. Even though I love them, that's something I didn't like about the games, because without the triple jump, I just felt more limited. I had less of a verticality. I felt like it took away from the overall flow of the platforming that you could do in the game. In Galaxy and 64 and Sunshine, you had the triple jump, and it was a very great mechanic in the games that allowed for that forward movement, but also that verticality really added to the overall flow of the platforming experience. So I'm really glad that they showed off that triple jump here. I think Nintendo did that on purpose to sort of tell us that this is going to be more of a Sunshine 64 Galaxy kind of game rather than 3D Land and 3D World, which is very exciting. But not only that, guys, if you take a look at the little village that Mario is exploring here, it looks like a very, culturally exotic sort of world. Like, it's gonna kind of have like the Aztec Mayan sort of feel to it. And I'm not saying it's exactly like Sunshine, but it does harken back to that game, because that game had a lot of villages you could explore that were very exotic and interesting, and all the characters are very energetic and cool. And I would love it if Nintendo were to focus on that and show us all these different, little areas and villages that we can explore. That could add to the overall feel and mystique to the game. So these are all really cool things that we can take from the small piece of footage that we got from the Nintendo Switch reveal trailer. And I think Super Mario Switch is going to be an amazing game. And if it comes out with Zelda at launch, I don't know what I'm going to play first. I'm going to have to somehow play both at the same time, which is maybe why we won't actually get both at the same time, but they're both going to be close to launch, and I'm really excited for that. So This is going to be amazing, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to convey your opinions or thoughts, let's talk about in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more content from me, Andres Restart, please subscribe. Anyways, guys, that's all for now. See you later.
Here we go!